Pretty much everyone loves a well-cooked steak, but what if you can't eat yours right away? Throwing it in the freezer is always an option, but therein lies the problem. Keep watching to discover the 8 mistakes everyone makes when defrosting steak. While rumors about the dangers of microwave ovens are certainly overwrought, the microwave is not the place to defrost your steak. Defrosting food in the microwave is quick and easy, and on nights when you barely have time to pull dinner together, it can seem like a lifesaver. But the truth is that it's a problematic solution for more reasons than one. First off, defrosting steak in the microwave can cause some areas of the steak to start to cook, resulting in an unevenly cooked or even dry steak later. But even more importantly, microwaves can bring steak into what the USDA calls the danger zone, a range of between 40 and 140 Fahrenheit that's the ideal temperature for bacteria to multiply and risk making your steak more dangerous to eat.
Lana.
What? Danger zone?
Soaking steak in hot water certainly defrosts it quickly, but it's a big no-no from both a flavor and a food safety standpoint. Because the danger zone for meat hovers between 40 and 140 Fahrenheit, submerging steak in hot water is just asking for food poisoning. To add insult to injury, this quick-thaw method also causes the steak to lose moisture, leading to a drier, tougher steak once you cook it. For your health and for the gustatory pleasure of the final result, it's best not to resort to quick-thaw methods like this one. Instead, rely on slower, safer thawing methods to bring your steak up to temperature and prepare it for the grill. The safest method for thawing steak isn't to rely on the microwave or a hot water bath or even to leave it out on the countertop. Instead, experts agree that it's best to defrost steak slowly in the fridge. And when we say slowly, we mean slowly. Ideally, you should give a steak at least 24 hours to defrost at a cold temperature. This not only prevents bacteria growth, but it also allows the meat to reabsorb the moisture it releases, resulting in a tender, delicious steak once cooked. Pretty much any attempt to speed up this process is likely to contribute to a tougher steak that may be riskier to feed your family. Forget about the microwave, the countertop, or a hot water bath, and instead, plan ahead. You'll be rewarded with a much more delicious final product. If you're freezing steak at home, it's best to take an extra step before throwing it in the icebox. Instead of putting it into a simple Ziploc bag or grocery store plastic wrap, it's best to first seal it sous vide. Using a vacuum sealer keeps your meat fresher for longer and prevents it from becoming oxidized and discolored by contact with the air. As an added bonus, sous vide steak is also easier to defrost without risking it drying out. Instead of unwrapping steaks the moment they come out of the fridge, simply leave them in their sous vide packaging and place them on a plate to defrost. They'll reabsorb the moisture they release, so the resulting steak will be tender and delicious. And to top it all off, your fridge will stay neater. One exception to the guideline of always defrosting steak in its sous vide packaging is if you want to add extra flavor to your steak. A great way to prepare a steak is by marinating it for improved flavor and texture. It can even help it thaw faster. This is due to several factors. First, the ice crystals that form on the frozen steak act as an abrasive to tenderize the meat. Secondly, frozen steaks will soak up the marinade as they thaw. Since many marinades contain salt, which draws the liquid out of the meat and causes the ice to melt, this step can, in turn, help the steak thaw more quickly. You should marinate frozen steak for between 8 and 12 hours in a freezer bag. Using a glug of balsamic vinegar is a quick and easy marinade that tenderizes the meat and adds even more flavor as it defrosts. But there are plenty of marinade recipes ranging from simple to complex that offer even more options. Some even suggest freezing the meat in its marinade from the get-go, so the steak is exposed to the flavors of the marinade both before and after freezing. If you're really strapped for time, there is one quick-thaw method for steak that's actually safe. Setting it, either vacuum-sealed or in an airtight zip-top bag, in a bowl of cool water. This method takes about 30 minutes per pound of meat. It's not nearly as quick as hot water or the microwave, but it's significantly faster than the hours it would take in the fridge. And if done properly, it will not discolor the meat or bring it into that dreaded danger zone between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. The one caveat with this method, the center of the meat might still be a bit cold when you begin cooking it. To remedy that, cook your steak a little longer to ensure you reach the temperature you were going for. Let's say you had the foresight to take your steak out of the freezer and thaw it in the fridge a day before, only to switch gears and grab pizza for dinner instead. What can you do? If you opted for a safe thawing method according to the USDA, you can safely keep the steak in the fridge for 3 to 5 days before cooking. But if your cooking plans for the week have completely changed, the USDA notes that you can choose to refreeze your steak within that window. Of course, if you opted for a quick defrost method, you could be headed down the highway to the danger zone, and leaving your steak in the fridge for another few days will only make things worse. Long story short, if you quick defrosted your meat, best to eat it as soon as possible. If you defrosted it slowly, eat it within the week, or ideally sooner rather than later. There is one instance where you may be able to forgo all defrosting: if your steak was purchased sous vide or if you packaged it sous vide yourself before freezing it. We're not suggesting that you dig into frozen steak, far from it. Rather, you can cook sous vide steak straight from frozen, which helps it retain all its moisture and keeps it from reaching the danger zone.
Seriously, Lana, call Kenny Loggins because you're in the danger zone.
One thing to keep in mind, however, is this process will take some time. If you're cooking a frozen T-bone steak, for example, you should leave it in a 132.8 Fahrenheit water bath for 135 minutes, which is 45 minutes longer than cooking a T-bone that isn't frozen. The last step after the steak is cooked through will simply be to sear it in a cast iron skillet, or using a kitchen blowtorch to get a beautiful, delicious crust on the surface. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more mashed videos about your favorite foods are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.